So good evening everybody, thank you for coming to the Planning and Licensing Committee meeting on the 14th of August 2024. Duncan, do we have any apologies?
Councillor Williamson gave us her apologies for this meeting.
And we've got a couple of vacancies and, oh yes, yeah, we know about John. Right, okay, any meeting management, well there's no members of the public, so hopefully it will go through straightforwardly. Minutes taken as read, we've got the extra meeting on the 24th of July and the meeting on the 31st. Is everybody happy that I'll propose these? Show of hands please. Thank you, and I can sign them off. I don't think there are any matters arising that aren't on the agenda already. Have we had any public questions?
No, we've not received any public questions. There is, it's not a formal question, and I'll deal with it at the end of the meeting. But so there was a small something, but it's not a formal question to the committee. Okay.
I had a question about whether the new Jampan application that has only just surfaced, but I said that wouldn't be tonight because apparently it was only authorised yesterday.
Yes, I've seen that. That's on the agenda for our meeting on the 28th.
That's on the 28th, thank you. I didn't know how to look it up. Like I tried Alexandra Road and I tried Chevelghe Road and I tried Paul, so that got an awful lot of applications. Right, are there any active consultations?
No, we've got no active consultations, but in my IBABs, I had an IBABs action magically appear that said from the last full council, said Councillor Kenny informed members that there is a consultation on the new government's plans on planning and hope the planning committee may have authority to comment. It's proposed by Councillor Kenny, second by Councillor Thompson, and resolved for the planning committee to respond to the consultation. I've not seen anything about that yet.
What I'm proposing to do is have that on the agenda for the working party on the 7th. I think we've got a couple of weeks, so that will give us. Is it the 7th? The first Monday in September, whichever day that is, when we have the NMP working party.
No.
I haven't cracked. Second, sorry. No, the first Monday in September anyway. Yeah. So I thought I'd put it on the agenda then, and that gives us time to report back to planning and licensing. I've looked at the new MPPF, but there's something else. There's another document that Cornwall Council are referring to, which I haven't found yet, but it's in the background, and this is where all these extra figures are coming in for the housing. But there are certain things that I think we should talk about, which is basically how do we get the NNP redone and how do we deal with the interregnum between them writing a new MPPF and a new local plan, because it's going to take 3 years. I did ask Ollie Monk whether he'd like to come along, and he said he's totally submerged at the moment. So I didn't think he would be available because they're
totally submerged, is he trying?
No, they're trying to work out what all this new housing figures actually mean for our targets, which will be interesting. Okay, so nothing on that, but we will be at the meeting after next. Is there one? There must be a meeting in early September. We will be reporting back to make some sort of response back. Have we any licensing applications?
Yeah, we've got a couple of licensing to look at.
So the first one is this Atlas Garage, Wesley Yard.
They've only just put this through.
Do you know anything about it, Duncan?
Yes. I can take you through that now. What I'd just like to do is bring up the the current premises plan, which shows at the bottom of the screen there the building, and at the top the outdoor area. As you recall, they licensed the building and then went and varied the license to include that area at the back. I'm going to share my screen now. Is that okay, Jacob? Yeah, or at least I'm going to have a go.
That was us from this room.
Yeah, it's... Jesus. Let me just... Sorry, bear with for a moment. Right, I'm not certain I'm doing this properly. Yeah. So I want to share the window, that one.
Right. Is that now?
Yep, that is now there for everybody to see. Okay, so this is a minor variation to the existing premises license. Sort of the licensing equivalent of a non-material amendment that we'd see in planning, if you like. So the outdoor space to the rear currently has permission for the sale of alcohol and the performance of films and live music. This minor variation seeks to add recorded music to the list of licensable activities permitted in this outside space. It's quite unusual to see an application that has one form of regulated entertainment and not the other. I cannot fathom why that would have been. The opening hours of the premises are 8 till 11 p.m. Alcohol, which is we've already established can be served both indoors and out, ceases at 10:30. So they want to add recorded music. I think that given that they've already have live music and films outside, there would be no defendable reason to base a representation that objected to recorded music outside. I think my view is that really, I know that Public Protection insisted on several conditions, the acoustic fence and various other noise mitigating features. I think really we will just have to wait until the premises has been open for a while to see if that has been successful or not. I don't see that it makes any difference whether it's live music or recorded music. If they do receive a lot of complaints from residential properties, then, as you know, it would be likely that a review of the premises licence would follow. So I must admit, I have expressed my concerns previously about the outdoor music so close to residential properties, but I don't think that there will be any defendable, bearing in mind they've already got live, I don't think that there will be any defendable base on which you could say, oh yes, live's fine, but recorded isn't.
I thought they were allowed to do it up to 11 p.m.
Up to 11 p.m. It may well be, yes. Alcohol is 10:30.
Yes.
So that's includes your drinking up time. But I think that I think you're right. The music was until 11.
Yes, so I didn't have to have a licence before 11 o'clock. Have I got that completely wrong?
That is different legislation. That's the Live Music Act.
Yes.
So which sees a lot of premises such as this not even including regulated entertainment on their licence because they don't need to, because the Live Music Act entitles these smaller premises to be able to have live music for a crowd of up to 500, I think it is, up to 11 p.m.
So,
but these guys have put it on the licence. So.
But they still need a licence for recorded music. Does anybody have any concerns?
I was going to say, I thought they were applying for extending the time for under 18s as well. Haven't I read that wrong? The minor variation to permit accompanied.
Sorry, I think that you are right. I think that there is. Just let me.
Because they had under 18s until.
Sorry, I think you're quite right. I think that the music was.
This is
The music was a bit
Because
grabbed my attention.
they had under 18s going at 7 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
And accompanied underage will be allowed on the venue between 8 but
Yeah.
they've extended that, haven't they, from any further information to support your application, the minor variation to permit accompanied under 18s will allow us to run year-round family-orientated events. Is that right?
Yes. Sorry, I was going to come on to that. I believe that I've got that up on the screen at the moment. I'll make that a little larger. But I believe that the police were quite happy with this. I think that they felt that the security, the police feel that it's quite a well-run premises, and they were quite happy, quite happy with, as you say, the condition that accompanied children under 18 will be allowed in the venue, because there was a condition say limiting how late they could be there.
Yeah. There was an interesting ad in The Voice today about how it's going to be a totally different ambience, and you want to hang out at Project 87 and all the rest of it. And it is reasonably far from other residential places. Right. So, has anybody got any concerns about either of those two things? No. No. So I propose no representation. I think Joe was first. Show of hands for no representation. That's unanimous. Thank you. So we've now got the show lines. As far as I know, there hasn't been a single complaint about what they got, because they got it under the old legislation, didn't they?
That's right. So the payment licence for the Concho Lounge, which I think comprises, I think I've got the plan here, which I can share with you. Did I put it on there? Oh, maybe I didn't.
It is attached to the payment licence. It is there. We've got it.
I could have marked it. I could have labelled my documents a little bit better than this. No, that's not the one.
Yeah, they just do sometimes.
They asked for it under the special COVID legislation, and we were concerned, and they said we weren't keen on it, and we got totally ignored, because the government has said that if they apply under this legislation, they will get it.
Yeah.
But I think we were being a bit over-sensitive, because, as I say, I don't think any of them, they hardly ever do it. And I've not seen any, I've not heard any complaints whatsoever. And Duncan, you look like you're struggling, because the picture is actually on the agenda.
Yes, I know. I should have. Sensible person would have put it in his file of documents. Hang on a second.
I wonder why they're not doing the end table. Well,
Are you happy to share your screen?
And we have has got a big red cross on the right-hand table. So I assume means it's not included.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just I'm just gonna. No, that should be fine actually. No, I'm not certain I've got that plan there. No, but you've got it on IBABS, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. This one believes that the town council is aware of having had any issues with this particular premises and with their outdoor seating. Yeah, I would, if you do know of anything, then sort of now's the time to bring it up, really. But
Anybody got any concern?
Just a really brief question. So, with the existing licence, is there a way of putting in some kind of arbitrary barrier, a demarcation of the actual area? Do they sit behind a ribbon or something?
No, they don't. And I don't think that there's any basis upon which we could insist on anything like that, because it's been operating for such a long time, since 2020, without any issues.
I mean, I'm not really thinking about the COVID legislation. I'm more thinking about successful introduction of outdoor cafe culture. And things that work really well are arbitrary barriers or small barriers where people know that this is a seating area and the other side is not.
It's been done really well at the across the road from Costa? No, the new one. New restaurant.
Okay, yeah, but it's pretty easy to implement. Yeah. I mean, I don't think what I'm proposing constitutes a representation, but it just would be, I think it just makes life clearer for pedestrians and also for patrons to know where everyone stands. And these things, you know, you get these barriers at airports and stuff, and they're pretty easy to erect.
Posts and tapes.
Yeah. It's just a thought. I don't know whether you want to make any.
You would have to make if you want to make a representation on that. I just don't think we'll.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Okay, well.
I think that is pretty much what I think. That is what we said first time around, that we needed some sort of barrier around it, and the government, and it got rubber stamped through. So I think because if they had, I agree with you. I think it ought to be slightly barriered off, but. If they've not done it.
It's a minor preference of mine, but I don't think it's worth.
Not making a representation. No. Okay, well in that case I propose no representation. Who's going to second that? Sarah this time. Show of hands for no representation.
Well, I think I'm going to abstain.
So that's 3 no representation and 1 abstain.
Let me just ask that we can't comment at all.
Yes, no, I mean, we can return, this isn't the Licensing Act, so we can return, we can say, you know, we haven't got to...
we don't have representation, but we have this comment.
Yeah, no, we can certainly, we can return a comment if you want.
So under the Licensing Act, if we returned a comment, they would have to convene a committee to discuss our comment.
That's right, it would have to, to start with, address one of the 4 licensing objectives. But that's not the case with the pavement licence. It's really just about, I mean, the key thing here is it causing an obstruction to the public highway?
Okay, I'm not sure you understood my question, Duncan. We're not proposing to object or to make a representation. We're just asking, is it possible to say we have no representation, here's a comment for the planning officer?
Yes, as I said, you can certainly return a comment.
I would be happy if that was possible.
I would be much happier. Yeah, that seems sensible, as long as we're not going to tell them to have a committee meeting to discuss it. But if you're saying...
Yeah, what exactly do you want me to say?
Well, so let's think of a form of wording. So successful use of pavement culture incorporates barriers to help pedestrians and patrons know where each other should... Yeah, delimit the space. I think that's a good phrase, isn't it? So if we can somehow weave the words "delimit the space" in, I think people will know what we're after.
Yeah.
Our preference would be, there we go. Yeah. Arbitrary barriers.
I don't believe it's something that we would get anywhere with if we insisted on it, but it might be that they feel.
If nothing else, it's
I know you see it you tend to see it in Truro more, don't you?
Yeah, it's been done really well.
Red areas at the moment, they haven't actually given room for anyone to serve tables on the pedestrian side of the red line.
Yeah, so they would be. It's a bit odd, isn't it? It has 2 tables marked as external trading, whatever that is. One with a red line over. So I don't exactly understand the diagram.
Clover Club is an excellent example.
Anyway, if you could make that comment and see what they come back with, Duncan, that would be very, very welcome. Yeah. Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Do we need to have a show of hands on that just to see it?
Yes, yeah. I'll report back if they do come back to me.
Okay, now our favourite appeal coming up, and this is number 9. where we are, basically the neighbourhood plan was overridden on the basis, that the DPD was implemented 6 months after ours, even though it was written about 2 years before ours. Duncan wrote an excellent letter, drafted an excellent letter. I then had a shot about adding a bit more in to say we're not anti-housing, we're just anti-building on our cliff edge. And Katie has come back with her version, which is making it even clearer, I think. So effectively, it's the AG1A, if everyone could get that one up. There's a couple of typos in it. You've got whilst in that first, you put while, I put while and you said whilst, but you spelt it wrong. There's no E on the end. Then you added a bit which said, to my bit, which is supports many and most new housing development applications, which we do. And missed to see people in fair and fair, so that's fine. Comma, small I for in, if you're going to do a comma there. Inappropriate, creates risk to BCOs under coastal cliff as climate change and indeed potential to homeowners. Yeah, that's fine. Then I've sort of talked about how it was a direct replacement of the Restormal thing, and you've added in the holiday homes. Then you've said little to no part, which is fine. The important housing needs of either of our... I to and froed about putting residents in, because by definition, if you haven't got a house, you're not a resident, but...
But we have 10,000.
I couldn't think of
Cornwall
a word to use
residents
instead of residents,
looking
so
for
that's
waiting for housing and technically without housing. So that's sort of my grounds for saying that.
And then we got to this is the one bit I probably, because I had a very, very, very long sentence. So I decided to, and I had with a semicolon. And then I put the full stop in after Cornwall and started a new sentence. You put the semicolon back in.
Oh,
That is a very, very, very long sentence.
That's the definition of passive aggressive, though.
No, sorry, that was not the intention.
So would you mind if we do keep it as 2 sentences?
Sure.
And then you saying building homes in nuclear being popular, it's always been popular, isn't it? And our planning committee supported many and most of. I think that might be, have we not said that already? That doesn't matter, we said again, it's just a politician, she understands it. So that's
exactly, that was my take on it.
We are trying to tell. Right, then you say the examiner, I think you're then correcting typos. So it's the examiner as having needed anything more than a small handful of minor changes. It might well have been dropped. You didn't like this bit about, you didn't say you didn't understand it. What I was trying to say here was Duncan started by saying it's frustrating because if we'd had to change our neighbourhood plan in any way, it would have taken longer to adopt and we'd been later than the DPD. Because it was so brilliant, we only had minor changes, so we got through it quicker.
Yes.
But the whole problem with this is that we just got our document approved before the DPD, because the DPD took years.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I was trying to say is that the administration arrangements to adopt the CAs, the DPD, and I say it was largely written in 2017, which acknowledges that it was written before the end. I keep wanting to tell them this, had been more
I
timely.
think I see what you mean.
Yeah,
So I think you're saying it
took such a long time.
It is further frustrating, or it is
It's
we have
how about equally frustrating?
thank you.
How about
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Equally frustrating.
That if, and then
Would that then make
Yes.
would that make it clear?
absolutely. Now I understand. Yes.
Duncan, you're looking puzzled.
Yeah, sorry.
So just over there,
On the screen there.
the one that's red.
Yes.
So where it says or,
Yeah.
we're saying it is equally frustrating that in place of the or.
So just for pointing out. I mean, I was expecting to come back and say it's all Cornwall Council's fault, because that's happened. They didn't tell us this is what they were saying. Then remains strongly contested. Short split, despite the split. Okay, yes, that's fine. It is the town council contention. It's a danger, because it is worrying because it is not only
Absolutely.
it is not only the settlement boundary, it is also the coastal change
Right.
policies.
Yes.
Because if
I
they're
think
going
that's
to
how I
come
was
along
reading
and
it.
say we could round off Whipsnade Bay, or we could because you said we could. And we're saying you can't because
Yeah.
it is too near to the cliff edge.
Absolutely.
And you can come back and say, well, this planning inspector
I mean,
said.
is it worth adding a sentence then about, as a case in point, we've recently had collapses at Whipsnade
No,
where...
that's because it's not really connected. I have mentioned it somewhere. Being out of date, so associated, and the sightings have superseded based on just a town that said to undermine all neighbourhood plans developed to blah blah, and locally our experience and put our precious coastal environment at risk, and as climate change risk cases from an inappropriate risk to development. Now we haven't got the bit that did I not say something about? I thought I had said something about the coastal.
That's where you need to lose the S off forward, at the end of forward. Go back down again, that last sentence. We look forwards.
Oh gosh, yes.
I thought I had mentioned the coastal change, despite the Senate common reasons. The town council respects that all neighbourhood developments and locally our experiences. No, it's in the wrong place. But I must have it. Oh yes, I've got it up the top. It's in the 3 or 4 paragraphs up, and the coastal change policies now to appear to have a shelf life, because it's all the rounding off and the infill that they're. And when you actually read the document, I mean, it's sort of saying you must worry about the setting, and it does, and all the way through it says there's a neighbourhood plan coming, and you need to listen to that. So it's what he's done. The law is absolutely specific. It says you go for the last adopted document. Even though that adopted document, I think my point is that that adopted document is saying you've got to look at the neighbourhood plan. So it's because that wasn't written when they wrote the document. It's a bit circular. But I'm happy with correcting the typos. I'm perfectly happy with your version. Does it make sense to you, Duncan?
Yeah.
But it might be as well just to circulate it so we make sure that it does make sense to all of us.
Yeah.
So thank you, Katie. It's going to, as I say, probably make not a iota worth of difference, but we need to say it.
In doing extending it though, haven't we? To
Yeah.
Newquay, so.
Well, if we say had another planning permission on the Whipsnade Cliffs, I mean, they would use this. Say all we're doing is we're filling it in, because it's filling in the space between the town and the. No. That is why I'm concerned about it. Right. Okay, so if you're happy with that, Duncan, do you want us to vote for anything, or just say we've discussed it and you'll struggle through to connect all our... You understand what's happening?
I think a show of hands that we've agreed further changes, and I will circulate this. This will go from Andy Curtis.
Yes.
So, yeah. So I think the resolution needs to be something along the lines of we'll make the adjustments agreed today. I'll circulate it to you, and then we'll ask Andy to send it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so we finally get down to consider planning applications. I'm hoping I'm not going to get something in Dutch. No, it's in English. So Sarah and I are doing 3 of them, but number 1, which is PA 24/05440, 20 Lustigaze Road, is yours, Duncan.
Indeed it is. Right, let's get the map sorted out first. Okay. Right. I'm not entirely certain I'm doing a very good job of screen sharing here. I'm just going to, Jacob, I'm just going to stop sharing. And then I'm going to start again.
Did you want to share one window or
Screen, yeah, I think that's just where I've been going slightly wrong. Right, so in terms of to start off with the location, 20 Lusty Glades Road, just zoom in over the top there and we can look at the street view. Okay, so it's a replacement dwelling. So I think my notes here do say it's worth noting that there is a small north-facing balcony. I just mentioned that because the new plans have a balcony as well. So I just want to make it clear that they're not introducing anything completely alien to the site. I read the comments, the Ramblers. I think they're happy. I think that they're happy with it. I was kind of slightly confused by what they said, but and I think that we had the usual comment from site allocations.
They're saying it's somebody else. They're saying that somebody else has blocked it. Depends where the line of the path is, really.
Yeah.
The comment is noted. I think that's all we can say.
Yeah.
It doesn't pertain to the
So we've seen a few applications for this address over the past couple of years, the most relevant being one that is an extant consent, PA 2302372, that sought extensions and alterations to the existing dwelling and was supported by this committee back in April 2023. The design and access statement tells us that based on recent site investigation, it was deemed demolition of the existing dwelling and building a replacement was the best route forwards for the project. We are told this is primarily due to the poor condition of the existing dwelling and uncertainty around the suitability of the existing foundations. A statement detailing the challenges posed by the existing structure and recommending consideration of a complete rebuild has been provided with the application documents provided by JHA Consulting. The new dwelling is intended to be a highly energy efficient family home that is fully compliant with policy SEC1, sustainable energy and construction, which is found in the climate change DPD. We'll have a look at the, there we go, have a look at the location plan. I'll zoom in slightly further, just to show the footprint of the existing dwelling and the red line site. And as I'm sure you'll appreciate, it is quite a generous plot in this location. For the block plan, I think we can, oh, that can really get out of the way, that box. Just want to compare the footprint. Let's just bring that a bit more to the centre of the screen. Yeah, so that's the existing footprint of the dwelling that's there at the moment. The replacement, as you can see, its location is very much similar on the plot. The footprint is very similar. The parking and patio arrangements appear to have changed very little, and the existing outbuildings are being kept. If we scroll down for the ground floor, that's the existing. The proposed, you see the main habitable rooms, or it now has the main habitable rooms. I think previously you had a number of bedrooms downstairs, but now the ground floor is given over mainly to the main habitable rooms, just one downstairs bedroom. The property will keep 3 bedrooms altogether. If we scroll across to the first floor, you'll see that's the existing. The proposed is increasing the gross internal area by about 3 metres squared. There are going to be 2 upstairs bedrooms with bathrooms, a plant room and a study, so quite a lot more going on the first floor than there is. The property also appears to benefit from a new balcony, which looks to me like it's accessed from the landing. I think you can just see it there in that bottom corner. In terms of elevations, because I think what it looks like is going to be quite important in this instance. So I just thought if we just look at all of them to start with, so that's your existing, and that's the proposed. So you can sort of get just by flicking between the 2 drawings, you get an impression of the increase in scale of mass. But we'll have a look at the proposed in a little more detail. Let's just straighten that up. The west, you can see. I think you can appreciate the. That's your existing. You can appreciate the increase in scale and mass there of the replacement dwelling. The west is a side view of the property. The south is the rear. It very distinctly has a new floor at first floor level. There is some very tiny writing next to that window which states that will be obscure glazing. I'll just go back to the overhead view just to give you an impression of the distance to the next property on. You can see there's a very healthy distance. So whilst they're putting obscure glazing in, I mean that's only going to add to protecting the privacy of the neighbours. But to be honest, it's a fair distance anyway. I think you'd agree.
There's been similar sort of developments along there, haven't there?
Sorry?
In the street in Rusty Glade Road, there's been similar sort of.
Yes, yeah. This isn't the first, and it's
Very similar to what their original idea when they were going to use the existing.
Yes, indeed. It certainly does. I think the east elevation again gives you just that impression of the increased scale and height, and then this is useful just because it's makes that point that you made, Joanna. I think you've got I'll make that slightly larger, and hopefully you can see the blue outline is the existing, the orange outline is the extant permission, and as Joanna said, it looks to be a very similar shape and size to what they've already got. It's just that really they're not going to be keeping any elements of the old property. They are pulling the whole thing down and starting again. It is very similar, yeah. Boundary treatments and fences and walls, none of those are being changed as part of this application either.
Supported it, didn't
Yes, the last time we saw it in April 23, yes, this committee supported it.
Can I just, I haven't got any qualms with it at all, but I couldn't find anything about drainage on there, and so that has changed. So I mean, South West Water haven't commented, but I couldn't find anything about their new drainage arrangements, that runoff should be dealt with on site.
So yeah, I had a feeling that I had seen something. So tiny writing again, but they're putting a soak away. Yeah, it does say TBC on it. So
Can we just, yeah.
yeah, it's got the foul. So I think it shows the South West water drains, but yeah, nothing more.
South West Water are being very firm now that they don't want any runoff in their sewers.
Yeah.
How is the solar, the local solar?
They've got them all.
The front garden is staying green, is that correct?
Yes.
There's no change.
Yes.
And the parking at the back is the same as it already was.
Yeah.
I see.
There is. We does say there's an existing soakaway at the back already. So we've got soakaway at the back and soakaway to be confirmed at the front.
Any concerns with something we've already passed effectively? No. Okay, I'll propose we support. Seconded by Councillor.
Returning those comments.
Yeah. Just like we'll say we'll support. We would like some confirmation of the drainage arrangements.
Yeah. Sorry, who's your seconder?
Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Right.
So.
That's unanimous vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm pro.
Right.
No, forget it, just didn't connect.
Okay. Application 2PA24/05616, which is Collingham 1 Alexandra Road, which is another replacement dwelling, and it partly commenced. Oh, because they also have a previous one. In fact, they've got two previous ones. In fact, a lot of the stuff.
They want on this property.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. This is Groundhog Day, really. Another application for a replacement dwelling that has an extant permission already in place. Back in April 2021, this committee raised no objection to the proposed extension and redevelopment of the existing dwelling. We could just about get a, I think that we can just about get a view of it. This really is hidden on this corner between Wellway and Alexandra Road. It's that one. It's that one there. Yeah, so in April 2021, this committee raised no objection to the proposed extension and redevelopment of the existing dwelling, including a first floor extension to the existing garage, which you can just about see over the hedge there in the background, and that was being turned into an annex. Then in July last year, this committee again raised no objection to some minor amendments to that permission. Previously, it had been planned to utilise some of the existing building. However, during the early stages of the build, it has been recognised that this would not be possible. And so the new dwelling will be a completely new construction, but will be of the exact same design, form, scale, height as approved under the previous permission and the minor amendments that were made.
Can I just make a comment? The problem is you get VAT back on new builds. You don't get VAT back on refurbishments. And I think that's probably, I suspect that's probably what they found out.
Such
So the very small differences in this application compared to the extant permission is the addition of a solar PV array to the roof and the addition of ecological enhancements in the way of bat boxes, bee bricks, which were all requirements of the climate emergency DPD that wasn't in place when they originally got the permission. Now, we have been informed that the annex part of this permission has in fact been completed. So we have already said yes to this. I am just going to...
Are they doing more modern cladding which then matches the annex now?
I'll show you a picture. I can't remember doing this one. I'm surprised it doesn't stick in my mind, because when you look at the building that's going to be in place, we've got a couple of artist pictures. So that will be the front of the building, and that will be the rear. They really are quite different. I didn't pick up on anything to do with materials.
Well, I thought when I read the design statement, I thought they were, because the annex is very modern. They changed that so it became modern. The building at the back there. And I thought reading that, then they were going to have matching materials to match the annex now, more so than what they had before.
Right. Okay. Because, as I say, what it does say is the only amendments are the addition of solar panels and the various ecological enhancements. That's as centres lifted from the DNA. Maybe the changes were to the annex, to make the annex more in keeping with the...
with the house.
Possibly.
Well, because it's a flat roof, isn't it? So is the solar panels going to be standing up on the front roof? Because normally we have them on, most roofs are sloping, aren't they, not flat. Does it say where the solar panels are going to be?
We've been through I want to go through the argument because we've already approved this, so if it's going to look exactly the same.
Yes, it's got a flat green roof, which it had originally, but they've then added this this line of solar panels sort of along the along the rear, I think it's sort of south facing, isn't it?
Duncan, sorry, was there any other change?
Solar PV array and, as I say, ecological enhancements in terms of back boxes and bee bricks.
And that's it?
Why did we no object as opposed
I
to
don't
support?
recall seeing this one. I presume I was not here.
I don't know.
We don't have a particular reason. We didn't say anything in our answer.
I remember seeing the annex last year, but it was before my time in 21, before the building came up. But I remember seeing the annex last year.
Do you want me to find the? Do you want me to find
We can
it?
just have a
Find
look
our
and see what
comment.
we
I'm
said
quite
last-
happy to.
If we can see what we said last time, just in case we've missed some
Yeah.
pearls of wisdom. Because the next one definitely has some pearls of wisdom that they have ignored.
20. I'm just going to go for the 21 because I think that's going to have more documentation with it. Why? 1665. So I'll go to the comments first, if you don't mind. Hopefully this won't take long to open up.
When you're doing that, the only concern I had was with the PV cells on that instance being on the flat roof and being at the base of the hill, that they didn't reflect on the properties behind them up the hill.
I'm going to suggest, I mean, you know what I'm like, I tend to write a small novel about each one, each comment we're returning. I may well have been away for that meeting.
Some reason.
So can I say no objection? And I propose no objection.
Use your mic.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Oh, is it? Sorry.
Yeah. I propose no objection, but can, pending on the angle of the PV cells, that they're not reflecting on any, on any properties behind.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Show of
same.
hands for no.
Yeah.
Horribly confused on this one because I had COVID the second time you went through, and I thought, when did this happen? You know, surely I would remember this because the initial. If we could just start on that first photograph, right? So the initial thing was we objected very strongly to the one on the left. Sorry, the one in the middle. The one on the left is the original. The one in the middle is. Apart from the fact there wasn't a gap in the middle, but we objected very strongly to that, but that was rubber stamped through, and our Commonwealth Councillor couldn't see any planning reasons to call it in. So we rubber stamped that one through, and it was horrible. And then when I had COVID, it got redone into this 3-block approach, and it's further away from the houses behind. And the way it works is that I think it's because they realised that all their backward flats had no view whatsoever, and now everybody has a view from either from the front or from those two sides. So basically, it's the 3 blocks, and then they put all the services on the left-hand side. So they knocked it down. So, well, we went no objection, and I'll talk about our no objection later on because they didn't respond to our no objection. So if we could look at the next photo, which is the next one of the photos, Duncan.
Yeah, sorry, I was just aware you said about knocking down. That's the street view of it in a state of partial demolition, I would say.
Right,
next photo,
go
yes.
to the next photo. So this is what they said. They are still planning to do this, and it's quite a nice design. The original design was horrible, but they've got nice balconies. They're set back so that it looks a lot more interesting, a lot nicer, which is a shame they didn't do in the first place. Next photograph. Right. So this is from you'd have no trust in me, Duncan.
No,
this is from the rear. Gosh. Where they have knocked it down, and on the right-hand side is Watersmeet, and on the left side, which is a lot smaller, is Surfside. Next one, please. Right, it's not a particularly brilliant photograph, but this is from the front, and the problem they have come across is the rear base, because this is all totally artificial. When they built all these houses, I suppose with the Bay Hotel, it would be about, sorry, the Fistral Beach Hotel, they'd be about 100 years ago. They dug out the natural line of the cliff right along, and when they've come to look at this, they discovered that the cliff is not quite as firm as they thought it might be.
That old chestnut.
So, as they put it, apparently the existing bank to the rear and south will need to be retained by a contiguous piling system. So they've got exactly. So they're putting, the problem with that is they need it to go round to the left-hand side on the east as well. And of course that actual build-up of the rear back is going to was going to go right in front of one of the windows that, so they had to change the windows basically to get this. So all this is about is reinstating or restoring or piling the back and then having to adjust. Plus they put a few extra windows in when they were about it. If we could then go to the next, I haven't said the plan, that's all in the planning letter. Right, what we said last time, can we get right? So this is what you passed, because I was sick, but you came in with a comment which said, the councillors were unsure how the developer intends to maintain the living wall shown on the proposed south elevation. Yeah. That green, the bottom right, that green thing is a living wall. Yeah. I'm not surprised you had a problem with that. And you're also aware of the pitted metal, which is, you also asked about that. Yeah. And you were totally ignored. We didn't get anything back to explain to us how they were going to. So I'm suggesting we make the same comment, and this time could you please explain to us how you're going to maintain this living wall, and next to it, the browny stuff, that is the pitted metal, and of course we're always concerned about metal because of the effect of the environment. If they come back and say this is fantastic metal and it's great in sea air, we don't have a problem, but they have not responded to us on that. And
phrase it by saying we are still waiting.
We are still waiting. We're still waiting. So that is what was passed. And the things to, I can play with the toy. The things to look at are, so switch, how's it?
Switch on the side here and then press. Yeah, it's working, you're on. Yeah.
Right, the things to look at are here, the living wall, and this bit up here.
Yeah.
And this bit here. Right, could we see the next one? This is what they are proposing. As you may, those of you who are observant will notice that they've lost a window.
Just the tiny little one.
They've lost a window. They've still... Go back. There we go.
Oh, I see.
You've lost two windows.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They have lost two windows, so they're making those slightly bigger, so they've still got some light into the flat.
Haven't they?
Sorry?
They've lost the whole
flat. No, they haven't. They haven't. It is. Let's get this right. Two flats on the ground. Two flats on the ground floor. 3 in the middle. And on the top, they've got 2 very big ones. And the back one, the rear one, actually takes, that one there is a whole flat, very big flat. And then that one, which is very
the ground
wide.
floor one, does it now only have that little horizontal window?
No, it has those windows there. They say it's got windows. We'll have, I don't know if I bothered with the plans, because at that point I could be. But this is what, but the other thing they have done, they've doubled the number of windows here. Go back.
Oh, yes.
1 set of windows, 2 set of windows. And that will be where they're getting the light into the lower flat. So instead of having a light there, and you can see here, if you go back again, Duncan.
Yeah, that'll make sense. Yeah.
Okay.
So they didn't realise there was a problem with the wall there. Now they've put on the new plans.
So do they still have the
Go back forward again. So they're doing that, and they put the bank there. They're going to put the bank in there. If you look very carefully, if I remember correctly, the red is the actual line of the earth, of the natural line of what's there, and the blue is sort of where they're putting a retaining wall, and that is basically the difference. So they've done a couple of other sneaky changes. I just need to look them up. Sorry. Where's the next one? Coated change. Unfortunately, it is. You could. I don't think I sent it to you. The photograph of the coated change because it's absolutely out of focus. So they've got windows to the flat 8 and 10 are reverted to the previous design on the east elevation. So they made the windows better. The additional high level windows added to flat 5. So it's got a high level window. That's the one on the ground floor. They've added in the ground levels. That's the blue and the red. They proposed ground livers to Met Engineers design additional boundary lines, so they've just stuffed something in. They've taken windows away from the east, but they've added them to the south. They've now got along here. They're putting some timber buffers to the west elevation along the open walkway. You can't see it. And they've got spandrel panels shown on the east elevation windows. I think we're there, but then that's up there. You've got spandrel panels there somewhere, whatever they might be. And they put the outline of the previous consent in there as well, I think. So I can think somewhere there you can see the original building. Window fenestration revised on west elevation, which is this one. So there's nothing significantly different. They just had to build something on the back. And but they haven't answered your questions or our questions on how they're going to maintain that green wall.
Can I take you back to the piling?
Yeah,
Well,
So when
zoom in on this slightly?
yeah, so basically they've excavated this slope, this back. Can we go back to one of the back slope? Either go one way or the other. Let's go back this way. So they've excavated back this slope here, I presume to here, and they've realised that. Sorry, they've realised this is softer. It's softer material. So when in engineering terms, when you're talking about piling in a slope, it means drilling into that slope to put stabilising material into it, probably steel girders, so you're pinning it effectively. But it will mean drilling into this slope here. Of course, there's a house above it.
There is a house and a path above it.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
where those two people are,
yes.
there's the road, isn't it? That's the access road, isn't it, for the back of these? Because we've looked at next door, haven't they, where they're accessing the back for that. But there was the bungalow there, wasn't there? Yes. So I am concerned.
You want some reassurance?
I want reassurance, and I want that. I'm not sure who from Cornwall Council, that we want insurance and that there's guidance for that, the piling for that back slope.
And there doesn't appear to be any comment by any geologist or person who...
Yes, I think it's interesting because they've obviously identified they need more piling, and that, if we go right back to photo 4, which is the...
Because they've excavated it out, haven't they? They've demolished it. And if you can you enlarge that? They have dug out the back here.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why they needed to, because the house is 12...
Because that's a bit...
It's 10 metres away, so 12 metres away, so I don't know why...
So I have concerns, really, that this is being on, which I suspect is going to come back that it's building regulations. But I do have concerns as to what they have done.
So you would like some reassurance?
I do want reassurance, yes.
That what they are proposing to do on the back wall, which is clearly already a problem,
yes,
is not going to put anywhere the house, because the house above, that's it. You can see it at the top of the photo, that's it.
Yeah.
And if that wall falls down, the house
Yeah,
falls
yeah.
down.
But
I'm surprised they haven't.
What's even more serious here is that it's already been done.
It's already been done.
Well, they
And-
haven't piled it yet.
But you see, you've
created the concern. So
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
as if they're just there with diggers' ploys. They've had a go at it.
they've dug it out.
They've already bitten the chunk out of it.
Because I thought with this planning application, they weren't changing because there was vegetation. There was a retaining wall there. There was vegetation there and they weren't going to be changing that. And obviously they have. They've removed it and dug it out. Which
I don't know why. That's the interesting thing.
Well-
Because they're supposedly several metres away, so why did they have to touch the back wall in the first place?
Yeah. So
It's not really a planning issue, it's basically saying to building, what the hell have you done? And are you making?
But you see,
are you making it safe? Because all of this is totally artificial. Because every single building, every single house has been built because they dug out the natural line of the headland.
Duncan, have we got the? Can we have a quick look at the plans that that we saw last year? For that back wall, because if they're then, I'd say that we will object to this and putting it.
No, I don't think we can.
But refer back to for planning. Oh.
We're not engineers, so
No. It'll be back for.
We do need reassurance.
Refer it back to planning, check it. You know, what is it when they check it? Enforcement.
Buildings.
There's also G3 of the neighbourhood plan, which is about building for the maritime climate, should demonstrate how the design of their development has taken into account the impact of the maritime climate. And we know that there's significant flooding happens on these cliffs and weakens the cliffs, and hence it's.
That's actually aimed at.
About that, but that doesn't.
But can we have a look to see what was they said they were going to do with that retaining wall?
What plan is it that you want to look at?
The
Is
one
it a
from
block
last
plan?
year.
Yeah, no, I've got
last year
that. I've got them
agreed.
up. They're on the screen there. I'm not certain which one that you want to see though.
So
Is it an elevation?
Have they got a design statement?
They do.
Yeah, the side elevations. I want to see what they said they were going to do, and I'm pretty sure they said they were going to retain the retaining wall and the vegetation at the back as part of their keeping their biodiversity. You said, go back to that photo before, Duncan. There we go.
Yeah, they're still saying it.
And there's them, but they haven't. They've taken it out and taken all of this out.
Did they say they were going to replace the?
No, they didn't. They were keeping it. So I don't know why this has been taken out, unless it's just to try and increase the size of the property. So I think it needs checking by enforcement.
No, that is inappropriate. But you do need, because it's nothing to do with enforcement.
Okay, what do they say with these arrows at the back here? Duncan, at the top.
This is the original plan.
Yeah, so what's that one? That's the front, where the blue arrow is the front.
Right, okay, so at the back here. So there's the trees, there's the path at the back, the lane, and the bungalow. And what do they say what they're doing here? I'm sure they said they were keeping it, and they haven't. They've dug it out.
Well, we think that's what they've done. We can't say for certain, but we think that's what they've done. So.
What's
The NMP D1 says that new developments should create a place that has a high level of community safety and security. And this doesn't give me any sense of safety and security. And it's also.
What you want to know is
This is from what we looked at. This is what we looked at in April last year, was it? I
Right,
said? I
okay.
can't remember.
Well, I could, there was a
No,
retaining
whenever it
wall
was that we
there.
looked
You
at
had that in the photograph.
Difficult looking at it on the hoof, but I did find something here. The bank to the southern part of the site had the potential for reptiles. The bank was too small and steep for a meaningful survey to be conducted, and therefore presence of small population of slow worms, common lizards has been assumed. If the bank is impacted by the proposed development, mitigation and compensation measures will be required, it says.
Is why did they affect the back wall?
Yeah.
None of which, interestingly, is in the plans.
No.
It's only because of your vigilance bringing some photos
Yeah.
to the thing, is that we actually know anything about it.
Well, they did say
Documents here says existing boundary trees, hedgerow retained.
Yeah.
Document is the landscape strategy.
So why did they dig out the back wall?
Yeah.
Why did they? Why? Or
Because
it could be that when they knocked down the building, it destabilised the back wall. That might have
It's
been what
not, but
happened.
it feels that's still that gap at the back though.
Yeah.
Existing embankment retained.
I think it is that back wall didn't look very nice. They wanted to remove it. So instead of putting another wall in front of it with drainage in and backfilling and maybe losing 50 centimetres, they demolished it and thought, oh, we can take this back now. And now look what they've done.
That could have happened, but we have no evidence that it did.
But we need us to check this and all building regulations.
We are confused as to why the back wall has been affected.
So can I perhaps seek to let's think about the process here. So I think if I'm not mistaken, you're worried that there's nothing in the process that enables us to make an objection other than what you've come up with in terms of photographs, and even that steps outside of process.
Because what asked us to approve is the windows, the change in the windows. So the back, nobody's worried about the back windows because they're below, but the windows on the side. So that is what we're being asked to. We're not being asked to approve what they're doing on the back wall because that's buildings. That is, but obviously something has happened.
There's a change to the design.
Doesn't design change the well? Yes. So we're looking at it changed the design, but the back isn't part of the design.
Okay, so the risk, I think, is that, say for example, if we propose no objection with a comment, the comment will be ignored.
Yep.
And it'll just
agree.
proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. So the alternative would
To
be
object until we
object
get-
and
Yes.
then let the 5-day protocol process
Absolutely.
take
Yeah.
effect.
Okay.
And
So
we'll
the
worry
tenants
about
will
it
go
down the
back.
line.
It's a little tenuous, but
I-
yeah,
I-
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
So listen, I agree that in terms of process, that we're probably stretching it a bit, but we've got a Hobson's choice here, and I think it's worth pursuing a no objection on that basis, and let's sort it out in the
So an
5-day
objection, you
protocol.
mean?
So we don't have any objection per se to the changes in the
We can
windows
specify
and
that.
all the
We-
other minor things they're doing.
Don't to the
But what we
windows,
have a real
do to the wall.
problem is the fact that we were not expecting the back wall
Yeah,
to
and
be.
we can
No,
refer
it
to this
literally
with-
says existing boundary trees, hedgerow retained and enhanced with the introduction of low maintenance wildflower species.
I think that's the document to refer to, Duncan. That
Landscape
particular
strategy 05509.
one doesn't concur with what we're seeing from the digger.
Yeah.
On that basis, then I think we can object, and let's worry about what the planning officer comes up with.
Because if the planning officer comes back and goes, yeah, no, that's okay, we preferred it back to planning regulation, building regs, but I think there needs to be an engineering report in there for the pilings.
Are we sure
And
they're
especially
not?
for the bungalow behind, because effectively they're going to be drilling in horizontally underneath them. It's going to
I
impact.
appreciate we're stretching the process, Joanna, but I think the alternative is that we're just going to be ignored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
embankment retained. That's just so crucial and not.
So are you proposing this, Sarah? Because I'll second that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proposing objection.
Have you got enough to... Sorry, I'm taking...
Do you understand why they're concerned?
Because actually they need to put in a drainage plan for that back wall as to what's going to be happening to the runoff that's going to seep down through that.
I'm trying to think about what was the guy on the top of the hill thinking when he's in his house thinking of his house.
Policy D2 on scale and location of development of the NMP. I would have thought we could reference that.
A wall over 2 metres high needs planning permission, and how it's been excavated, that retaining wall is going to be over 2 metres high and requires planning application.
I'm just trying to get back.
As well, if a wall is within, I think, 2 metres of a footpath.
It's not a wall. It's retaining pylons, isn't it? I'm just trying to see the.
Pylons are what you go into the soil. It's what you have in front of it. You've got to have a wall there now, like they've removed, to stop the soil coming out.
Right. I'm just going to see exactly, because I didn't copy down exactly what they said about that. So here we go. They have a plan. Oh, I've got it in my mind. I'm being an idiot. I've got a planning statement. I can look at that. Right. So their planning statement. Oh, drat it.
It's going to be in Dutch.
No, I've just renamed it. So. They produced a sort of a 2-pager planning statement. It's probably easier just to go into the application and see what they said, but it was only fiddle. It's like technical hitches. Right. Can you blow it up because it's quite small? I mean, Verto are quite responsible developers, so let's go and see what they said. This came in on the 30th of June. Carry on going. It explains, right. Reading conjunction. Keep going. I think there's an explanation on the next piece of page of what's causing it. Right. No, they're wonderful. The one thing I was going to ask them was whether they were going to have, should be there, I'm explaining it.
So at the rear of the site is formed a steep grass bank rising sharply by 7 metres to the point where it meets the narrow and isoplan classified road. So
there's the bit where it says.
So it's 7 metres they've dug out.
Go down a bit. I still think there's another bit in there that says. It should say there where they talked about the. I've definitely seen it where they explain that the wall is. Keep going. So this is all blurb. There should be something that explains why it went. Why they've had to change the windows. No, let's carry on going. They're just telling us how wonderful they are with the planning policies here. At some stage, it should be saying. Are you looking at the system design document as opposed to the? Because I thought the planning document was less.
Keep going, Jonathan.
This is the planning statement.
Because. It's where it describes why it's had to change the plan because of the wall. the 41 documents, because they've disproduced all the documents from the planning statement is right down the bottom, isn't it? There are two, right. There are two of them. Which one have you done? Have you done the planning statement? There's a planning statement submission version above that.
Okay, yeah, I've done the submission version.
Right, try the one underneath. And it comes out in a Word file just to make it more difficult for you. It says it's on unreadable content, at least it does on mine. Okay, this is current position, right. It's the second one, it's the one below, Duncan. What it actually says is...
Yes, I've got it.
Right.
Existing bank will need to be retained by...
Contiguous piling system. The height is moderately higher than was envisaged at the time it was granted.
So for some reason it started to fall. That's how I read that. Then it says the height of the retaining structure
That
will be approved.
Doesn't say they've pulled it down.
It doesn't say how high, and as I said, anything over 2 metres, any wall is going to need planning permission.
Yeah, so that will be incorporated within this. So effectively you could say we're objecting to the new wall as part of the plans.
Well, we haven't seen what the structure of that new wall is. Did you see a diagram as to what the structure of that new wall is?
No, I haven't got that.
And with piling, then...
Well, I think we've agreed we're going to object. We haven't got sufficient information about what has happened at the back.
Yeah.
And we're asking for an explanation
Yeah,
and some sort of assurance that this is not going to affect neighbouring properties.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think anything else we're just... Because this wasn't meant to happen, presumably.
So the presence of this structure would block light from one of the windows on the side.
That's because
But of
it's
course
going round, because they found it's necessary to not only do the back wall, but to go round it as well and do a bit on the I get my
But
east
I
side.
don't know why they dug out the back in the first
Those
place.
investigations were after we'd approved something else.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
presumably,
we need to give it to someone to sort it out.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's as far as we can go. We are concerned. We want more explanation as to what has happened.
yeah.
Which makes my little question, which was going to be, are they going to be using solar, because they've got solar panels over the whole top of it, but are they going to be solar panels like that, which is not a particularly good position for them because they've got, would you believe, a retaining wall coming from the south, or are they going to put in solar roof? So the panels...
It says panels.
It was a green roof, wasn't it? It was a green roof with panels on
No,
it.
It says benefiting from the pitch and orientation of the roof for the PV panels.
I thought it was a flat roof.
It is a flat roof, but it's not a green roof because it's covered with solar panels. Or it's made with solar panels, and I don't know which is which. It was just a minor question.
Well, you wouldn't have a flat roof if it was...
And they appear
because
to
they'd be pointing straight upwards, wouldn't they? That wouldn't be very efficient.
Yeah, that was my question.
Hmm.
The thing is, because they're right in to the cliff on the south, that's where the sun comes from. So they will only get a very small amount of sunshine in the daytime if they have panels in that direction.
But their roof's huge, though. The impact of the bungalow
No, it's not.
behind them and on that would be quite small for the majority of the...
It's the wall. It's the slope of the cliff. Anyway, it's such a minor point. I think they're using air source. They talked
using
about
air
air
source
source,
heat pumps,
not ones under the ground, which is a
Are
shame.
we ready for the next? Have we finished
I think we are.
Well, I've
Sheriff,
got a proposer. Who's second?
And Joe seconded.
Sheriff has to object on that basis because we are concerned about. We don't understand what's happened to the room, and we want some reassurance. And I thought that was the simple one.
Oh.
Okay, so the next one is Baker's Folly. Forget about what they call it.
No, oh no, the next one's me.
Oh, is it?
Number 4, yeah.
Oh, well, Baker's Folly is number 6, right? Okay. Okay, I'll go for it.
when Duncan's looping up that one. Okay, application for PA 24/05971, proposed garage at Inner Tide House, Trevene Way. If we can have a look at the location plans. So we're here overlooking the Gannel. It's a beast of a house in terms of size. It's huge. Look at it. You compare that to the three large properties opposite. It's huge. Yeah, it's a fairly new. No, it's there. No, the house is there. We're just going to be looking at a garage that's going to be here. So that's the current location. And then if we have a look at the proposed block plan, all it's doing is proposing a little garage. A little garage to the side here. Well, you'll laugh in a minute when we see this. So the next one then is the street view. I think, yeah. There it is, it's down, third one up from the bottom, Trevene Way. Yeah. That's okay. There we go. So there's a news. So at the moment it has 3 internal garages at the basement. So it's sort of like it's a bungalow, but not a bungalow, if you see what I mean. So basically, cars drive in here, round the corner, round the wall, and they have a courtyard here, and they've got three garages in eggshell blue, which stand out. Okay, so what the garage is going to be posing is behind this wall is going to be here, and it goes in front of that garage door, which will remain there because through that garage door is access into the lower ground floor. So they're proposing basically what's going to be, well, so if we have a look at the existing first floor plans and elevations.
So this is number 40, isn't it? I finally worked out which one it is. Right.
Okay, so yeah, so the elevations. This is the front of the house, I think, overlooking the Gannel. So this is where we're going to be. So this is the 3 internal garages. So the window is staying into the internal garage, I think, for memory. So it's going to be covering that door up until, so the 2 garage doors here will still be there as a garage, and it will be covering over that 3rd one there. So then we look at the proposed first floor plans and elevations, and there you see it. So there's, oh, have I lost my, no, it's fading. Right, okay, there we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. So there's the 2 doors. This is the new garage with a pitched roof on top, which has 2 skylights in the roof, one on the other side. And I think the window's still the other side that we saw. Okay. So that's the wall on the other side. So I think you'll just see at the top from the road, the top of the pitched roof here.
So are they keeping the 2?
No, that's the wall there. No, you won't see it at all.
I've lost the plot here. It had 3 garages.
Yes, there's still the 2. This garage then is going to be driven in around, and the entrance is at the side here. See? Yes. Around the side. And it covers over the 3rd garage, which is still there. Right, so if we then look at the proposed lower ground floor plan, so there we go. If you get that a bit bigger, there we go. So this is the new garage. This is the, Joanna, watch Joanna.
No,
yeah.
switching it on here so I can see.
Okay, so this is the garage door. There's the 2. This is the 3rd one. It's still got the entrance into it there because there's no door from the new one into the building. It's still got, people have still got to walk through and in here. And there's a wider door here with, effectively, you could get a double parking in here.
What's the
But
point
so
of doing this?
I don't know. So ours isn't to ask the reason why. Stop it. So effectively, you've got this. Even though it's got 3 doors, it's all one big space.
So could they drive into the new garage and then drive into the...
No, I'd say the angles were too tight.
You mean...
And in there? No, you wouldn't. No.
But they're quite, must be quite big, because the existing garages
don't-
must be big enough to take a car. Except
Yeah.
they look very narrow.
So these are these are effectively 3, but 3 doors that open into one void. So what they're creating here is another garage which has the same width door, but has basically 2 parking spaces in it. And then this, I presume they'll take the door off, and then they walk in here through the door here
This would make
and up the
sense.
stairs.
This would make sense to me if they were then looking at doing something different, not garagey with that space there, wouldn't it?
Yes. They haven't asked us about that.
They haven't
But
asked
they
us
haven't
about
asked
it.
about that.
No.
So effectively, this is just about the new garage.
Yeah.
And
So it's got a pitched roof. The only thing, and it's what South West Water have picked up on, they have not stated what they're doing with the drainage. No surface water strategy has been given. So, bizarre as it is, I propose no objection. The building materials are the same as what the house is made out of. With its pitched roof, it's got its skylight in the back. And
so are we saying that there's no change to the floor plans for
the ground floor, no. It's just purely
Yet.
for the garage, yes, yet. So we could put that in the comments in terms of assuming that, this isn't looking to concerns about, accommodation creation of
So
the garages.
We're not clear what they were going to do with the replaced garage or the now cut off garage. Would that help?
I think both of the money on this one too, in terms of the garage spaces.
Because what does it say? This room here's at the top. What does it say that is, Duncan? Here,
That's a sauna.
sauna. Yeah. Because they got a large swimming pool out here as well.
Yes, I see that. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
It may, I mean, we probably shouldn't be spending time unpicking this,
no.
but it might well be that they don't want to go for the other stuff until they know that they can get the garage.
Yeah.
So on the ground floor plan, which I've only just now looked at, the garage is actually
That's what's up on
the
there.
void next to the sauna. So that, because I couldn't read that, but that's garage. So they're saying that behind the 3 doors, they have a big space, which is the garage.
Yeah,
Which is the garage, yeah.
walls.
It's just got 3 doors
Right,
into
so
a
the-
large void,
Yeah,
which is the garage.
yeah.
And this, so yeah. So effectively, I mean, they still have the door marked here, but I presume, and that's going to be just kept permanently up and open, because that's the only way that they can get into the house is then through the garage space and up the stairs through the door, past the utility room.
And the utility room window is now going to be very dark.
Into the garage.
Because it's going into the garage.
Yeah.
But in terms of planning, we can't see any reason why
No.
they shouldn't put a garage on.
So-
have a quick look at the street scene.
Is it going to be a pitched roof on the garage?
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll see like the apex of the roof over the top of the wall here.
So it's slightly sunken. They're going to take a bit
Yeah.
of their lawn.
No, it's all paved.
Oh, is it?
It's all paved. You go in here, you drive round there, and then into the garage at the moment. So all this courtyard is effectively car parking too.
It seems to be they're trying to solve the first world problem, aren't
It seems very tall. Because it seemed to
Yeah.
me from the drawings that it's actually, the ridge height is actually going to come above.
Up to the window,
the height
yeah.
of that.
So maybe, because the new door is taller than the other one, perhaps they've got a van.
Yeah, look, it's coming
see,
halfway. It's coming halfway.
yeah.
Because I was
So-
wondering if maybe they were going to stick a boat in it or something.
Could be a boat. I think it's going to be a motorhome or I mean, they put a car in the plan, but I suspect it's a door for a motorhome
Yeah,
or a
that would make
caravan
sense.
or something like that. Yeah.
That would make sense.
'Cause that's,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's actually blocking that window halfway.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to get that
Yeah.
motorhome into the garage because there's not enough room.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
So how do they get into
Huge garage door. Isn't it?
to
Yeah.
get into the garage? Where's the door to the garage? Is that on the front? Oh, right. Oh, I see. Round the back.
You have to drive around this new building.
Yeah.
Round into there.
So you drive. Yeah, you drive.
Yep.
Drive around here and then into there.
Well, I can't see any
No.
reason why not.
So
Are you going to make a proposal?
I'm proposing no objection pending that they need the drainage statement and put that in.
I'll
Second it? Yeah. Do you want to second that?
Yeah, I'll say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have KP?
Yeah, she flapped her hand.
have seen this quite recently.
Yes, certainly. I'll just start off with the overhead view. Elliott Gardens. It's the end of Elliott Gardens that has the junction with Eulalia Road, and it's not the corner house, but it's the next. Number 17 is the next one in. We can. There we can see that's number 17. You can just see the guest house sign there. I'll also show you the rear of the property. We did look at it last time because that's where they have managed to manufacture a couple of parking spaces. So parallel to Elliott Gardens, you have Edgecombe Gardens just to the north of that, and off Edgecombe Gardens, that's Eulalia Road again, off Edgecombe Gardens, you can drive down this little alleyway, and there are 2 parking spaces associated with the guest house. Okay, so you will recall that let's just go back to that one, that back in May this year this committee objected to an application for the change of use of the existing Trawinda guest house to a sui generis HMO accommodation and associated works. Although not opposed to the principle of repurposing the guest house into a form of residential accommodation that would comprise multiple households, councillors raised concerns due to the parking provision not meeting the 50% rule as described in the neighbourhood plan. The provision of just 2 off-road spaces, the ones at the rear that we've just had a look at, it was felt that with just 2 off-road spaces, it would be likely to, this proposal would be likely to add to the year-round parking pressures that already exist on Elliott Gardens. You can see it does have quite a lot of parking traffic along it. You also felt that there was insufficient space for waste storage. There were no details of the proposed fire safety measures included, which we do ask for under policy H3. We did note the immediate neighbours, number 15, and the noise impact that they were concerned about. We felt that the communal areas, chiefly the kitchen, was very small for such a high level of occupancy because they were looking at 10 bedrooms, and we felt that there was little communal storage, including nothing dedicated to bicycle storage. There is also an outbuilding to the rear of this, referred to as the annex, and that provided the 10th bedroom effectively. That annex had and still has an existing condition preventing residential use. So those were the reasons, quite a strong set of reasons.
So we didn't have a reason on the basis that there were lots of other, the policy that sort of restricts the numbers of houses of multiple occupation, that did not apply.
That did not, within the scope of our policy. The only HMO is, and this is a house that's run by St Petrock's. In actual fact, that is, I think that was the only one that was within the zone. So it's, although there is a concentration towards the other end of Elliott Gardens. I think we measure 100 metres, and these are the HMOs are well outside that.
So
okay?
we don't need to consider the HMO.
No, and we did. I should have shown it again today. I did put together a map that showed where those HMOs were from the information on Cornwall Council's HMO register, and we were quite satisfied that density of HMOs wasn't an issue. I know that some people were concerned because there are a lot on Edgecombe, but in terms of our policy, they're well outside the zone that we would be looking in when we were measuring the density. Anyway, the application that we looked at in May prompted a significant level of public comment. Not all one way. There were 17 objections. There were 21 supporting comments. But the list of points that we'd raised was significant, and I'm sure that the officers had quite a lot of input as well, because the application was withdrawn by the applicant in early June. God, that's a lot of background, isn't it, for an application? So what has changed? I'm going to go straight to the design and access statements, because this really isn't about what the this isn't really about changes to the appearance of the building. Page 3. I'll just open this up a little bit so that you can read it. This gives a list of the material points that have changed since the previous application. So the amended submission has been reduced to 7 bedrooms. The living room, standards, kitchen, those communal areas are now in accordance with the with what Cornwall Council would have wanted to see. They have put the front garden over to parking, and we will see that on the plans in a minute. I think they've created 6 spaces at the front, and you've still got the 2 to the rear, but we'll see that on the plans in a moment. They've also put in EV charging points for most of those spaces. It says a new access to the highway is proposed as part of this application. I think that that's referring to drop curb and crossover. And the rear building, which, as I just mentioned, still has a condition preventing residential use. I think it was a gym, if I remember rightly. That is now going to be incidental, so it's not going to be part of the accommodation. It will not be a room that somebody is or a space that somebody is living in. Okay. So yeah, let's have a look at
It sounds like they have dealt with most of our objections.
It does sound. It does sound like a lot of the points have been taken seriously and addressed.
But they've created a new issue by destroying the front garden, potentially.
So, yeah, potentially. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I need to get rid of this. It's right. Okay. So, yeah, this block plan here just shows you the previous submission with the existing parking to the rear. This is the current block plan now that we're looking at. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parking spaces altogether. So they've kept the 2 at the rear, and they've created 5. They have, I think, had to widen that entrance so that it can take a car. I think it's just a pedestrian gate at the moment, and they're proposing a permeable brick paving surface in that front garden. the elevations, I don't think there's even any need to worry about those. Oh, actually, no, there might be one very quick reason to look at them.
Can you just look at the street scene again at the front, please, Duncan, to see where that space comes into the trees that are planted on Elliott Gardens, to make sure that they're not...
It doesn't appear to have
It doesn't have a
garden
tree.
No, the trees end sorry, we've gone far too far down the road, haven't we? Yeah, that's just a long grass verge along there.
Actually, it would have had in the past, but it's
Can
gone.
you zoom in to see what the garden looks like at the moment?
The garden is
It's all gravel.
largely gravel.
It's all gravel.
It's not a green garden as such.
With
there is some shrubbery in it, but
And a large
there's
cactus.
an interesting plant that grown so tall in this garden. That's long been taken down though. Excuse me.
They're losing about 5 plants, aren't they, really? It's all gravel at the moment.
Yeah, they might even be keeping these ones here because there's not a parking space here. They're not doing 3 and 3; it's 2 and 3. So they might not lose all of the greenery.
Oh, I mean, they're getting rid of that balustrade.
They're opening it up, and that's why I was going to quickly look at these. I just wanted to quickly look at these. Look at these elevations. Oh, get
I
out.
think they've done it down the street then. There's a pig in the road to try and park it.
Yeah, so that's so you've got the existing street elevation there. Sorry, my throat's getting a bit dry. And then, what's that? Yeah. And then the proposed. So can you see that they're keeping much of that wall, but they've opened it up considerably. So you've gone from just that small pedestrian.
Have they put in for the drop curb and the cutting out of the verge in the...
You said they had.
Did you?
Did you?
They in the list of where was it? New access to the highway is proposed as part of this application. So that answers your question, yeah? Floor plans.
No, I was just going to say that.
Oh,
just quickly propose an
1958.
extension from now on. Show of hands. I was hoping we were going to have a really record finish.
Yeah.
It was not to be.
Right then. I think what we'll do is just compare the withdrawn plans and the current plans. Let's make that slight. Yeah. So I'm chopping off a little bit there, but it's not too important a bit. So this is the ground floor of the withdrawn plan. You can see the combined living, kitchen, studio was quite a small space. So what they've done is really they've opened up that whole side of the house is now the kitchen, dining, living room, communal shared area. Yeah. So that obviously reduces the number of bedrooms downstairs, and then sorry, this is...
So where are they losing the 3 bedrooms from the Because it was 10. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so you've lost a bedroom downstairs. So there were 9 in the main house, and then there's one outside. So you've lost one.
Yeah, it was the one.
Then that's the room at the back. Then you've lost one downstairs, and then what they've done upstairs is this room 8 and 9 is now into one room.
So it's a double room, isn't it?
So yes, I mean, yeah,
As opposed to 2 singles.
yeah. So we've gone from 10 to 7.
Much the same amount of people, or maybe one less.
They are just show as well that we have got external bike storage. There is an office space there as well. Yeah, I mean, really, those are the changes.
Where's the bin store going?
Let's have zoom out slightly. Yeah, so they've created a bike storage. I'm not certain, Sarah, to be honest. Yeah, what was marked as storage before is now bicycle storage.
Well, they could use that place up the back for bin storage, if necessary.
Yeah, I mean they have provided a plan of that. It just says incidental use.
It says sufficient waste storage can be provided within the curtilage of the existing dwelling to accommodate use class change. Does it say how?
Yeah, no, we can't see. I don't. They may say it can be, but it doesn't appear that they've demonstrated it particularly. I'll just check on here because this would have been a good place to have shown us. No, I mean there's no reference to it on that block plan either. So I think that's one question that we need to ask. Recycling storage space needs to be demonstrated.
Yeah, they've said they can do it.
Yes, we did note that I think that there was concern that I think currently there's a dining room, and I think that the adjoining neighbour was saying, well, we can hear quite a lot already.
Well, yeah, that's right.
But I mean,
Yeah, I mean there's two bedrooms at the moment. If you imagine there being a dining room in sort of on this side of the building, then you're going to get quite a lot of people all in one place, and I think that that's what the residents of number 15 said that they could hear quite clearly, but you've not got a communal space on that side, so it might be quieter for them. I do not know. Yes, but that's not, but that's not connected. It is St Petrock's on the other side, yeah,
So we're saying there's
but not
no-
physically
there's
connected. Yes.
no- So therefore, in theory, and was there
I think that they would have been referring to this breakfast room. I call it a dining room, but I actually remember now is a breakfast room. So I think they were saying that they could hear noise from there, but obviously that's going to be quite a few people in one place. That's now going to be a bedroom. Indeed, it was on the last one as well.
Yeah.
they've resolved all our issues?
Apart from the way the store is.
Sorry, I do have a comment about, we regret the loss of the trees at the front, and we would encourage them to consider whether a hedge perhaps could be put in that sort of 1 foot along that wall there, so that there's no greenery. The Newquay Neighbourhood Plan encourages greenery, and the
What
Cornwall
they're
Climate
saying,
Action
which
Plan.
is interesting, is that the existing biodiversity will be retained as part of the proposed.
Therefore, and we would query how the biodiversity will be retained or replaced. I think it's more likely it's
Exactly the
replaced.
same with the waste.
Yeah.
They're saying they're doing, but how are they?
We
doing
can't
it?
see how it's done.
And similarly-
So, I mean, because we can't see these things, I almost feel like we have grounds to object. But it just feels annoying to.
No.
I'm quite happy to propose no objection. To, yes,
An explanation of
Yeah.
how they're going to provide the internal
yeah,
waste and how they're going to
Yeah.
maintain as promises. Because you can see they're selling this place. It's actually being sold to new owners. It's been marketing as an HMO.
and with solar panelling on the south side of the roof, which would be quite good as well, wouldn't it, for the...
Have they got that?
No, they haven't got that.
So
No.
Like consider.
that's our G2 comment.
Yeah.
So
I'm proposing no objection with all these concerns sort of like raised.
So subject to.
Subject to.
I'll second that.
Okay.
So show of hands for no objection.
Can I report my abstention?
Yeah, three, and then the 1 abstention. Okay, you've got enough there, Duncan, have you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I'm sure fire will pick up and do the fire checks as well. Because
Yeah.
they like a sprinkler system, haven't they? And I don't know if that was mentioned at all as like a sprinkler system in an HMO.
Now we are going to be doing Baker's Folly. Sorry, the Tower, the Winnick Cove House, which is PA 24/05256. But everybody knows this as Baker's Folly, and I'll explain why if you're not familiar with it when we get there. Let's make sure I've got all my...
I thought this one existed, but it isn't.
Well, it isn't. And that's the first thing I was going to say. It is what you call, I think, a non-designated heritage asset. You could not get it right. Is that my first photograph, or you're just saying it's where it is?
No, that's just me sticking something on the
Right, so I don't know if you're familiar with Pentar Headland, but that's it. If you'd like to go to the photographs I sent you. So the first one, believe it or not, is exactly the same shot.
It's holiday let down. Oh, really?
Sorry? Right, okay. So if you're familiar with Pentar Headland, that is below, it's called Llewellyn Cove, but it's known as Baker's Folly. Could we have the next one, please? Right, those are two pictures of what it was. It was actually, there has been another application in 2019 which had a lot more information than this application did. This application is quite brief in its system design document, but basically it was a bloke called Fred Baker who made his money in something, and his idea was to build something, this sort of fabulous villa, and then build one on the other side of the headland and have a tunnel going through to meet the two. At least that was what I was always told, and it's called Baker's Folly. He ran out of money before the First World War, and he didn't finish it, but he came back and he finished it. So the tower is not finished. I think it's the gatehouse. But by 1927 he finished. If you could, this bottom one is interesting. You show us the next picture, which is, I believe, is a fake, because there is no beach below Baker's Folly.
You can get down there.
Yeah, you can, and the water
Yeah.
gets quite shallow.
I've
to
seen
about
people swimming there
to
a few
about
times.
to about a meter's depth.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have never seen a 70 years.
Maybe the tides have
Spring
changed.
tide, you might get that.
Yeah.
It's an awful long way from Bristol Beach. I think it's.
Yeah.
To me, this is a phony. He's always intended it to be. I could be quite wrong, and it could be that in early 1920 they did indeed have a beach there, but it hadn't been seen for at least 50 years. So, could I have the next one? Anyways, I think we need to start off by saying it is a non-designated heritage asset. You couldn't get it listed. They've changed the windows and they've done all sorts of things over the years.
I have to say, I'm enjoying the reconvening of the Newton Heritage Society.
Could I say, is this evidence of global sea level rise?
It could be. Well, no, because
No,
the,
it's not.
the interesting thing about the previous application was they did a heritage statement. They also did a full coastal change management statement. And there is a comment on here from the coastal change people and Cornwall Council saying they don't think one is necessary. But they know as well as I do that actually we've got one, but it was for the previous.
The only thing that might have happened is the amount of sands that we have on the side might have changed over the years.
I don't believe it. If you look at low tide on Bristol Beach, and it's hundreds of yards away from this. So I'm trying to remember as a kid. I used to go there when I was about 5 or 6, and I can remember.
That's not you then.
No, that's definitely not me. I think that's a phony, but never mind. I could be completely wrong. I could be bringing. So next picture, please. Right. In case you don't know, that is it. That's what it looked like on Sunday. Like an awful weather, and it's sort of down below the. And next one. That's what it looked like in 2019, and that is actually worth looking at because of this is the best shot I have of the tower, what it looks like, and it's got the. So that's where it is perched on top of the rocks. What the coastal thing said, there is a definite weakness, but it hasn't shifted for 100 years, and they say absolutely no reason why it should shift in the next 50. So they're saying it's pretty solid.
Is that it just based on a pillar? Is that just a pillar holding it at that corner?
Yep. On the rock.
Oh, good grief.
But the weakness is down below somewhere. Okay, the next picture. Right, this is what it looked like. This is the only proper view I have of the north side. And someone in their wisdom put a metal. They had a roller blind there, and they put a metal balcony. Now this is absolutely into the teeth of the North Sea. And I used to hear stories when I was a kid about people being in there and waves going right over the windows. I don't know if they reached up, but you notice the two windows are very small on the north side. And I think you can tell from a later photograph that they're actually inset in very thick walls, and that does tend to worry me. So if you could look at the next one. That is the metal balcony in all its glory. And if you look below, they've got a sort of washed up flotsam and jetsam down below it. And as we have already said, if you ever use metal on anything, you get
Streets of rocks.
and they've obviously closed off the wonderful roller thing. So, but on the side though is the old way of dealing with foul water. When we had the application in 2019, they had two parts. One was they were going to totally replace the foul water system, and then they were going to build an extension. I think the next one is actually showing what they were planning to do. Duncan, can I have the next one? No, that is showing it from Llewellyn Lodge. And you can see that's pretty much a plain wall. Can we see the next one, please, which does a close-up? You can see there's nothing on that wall at all, other than some drain pipes, which will be disappearing.
This wall there.
Yeah, and you can actually walk down some little steps onto the top of that if you feel so inclined. So next one. Right, this is the south elevation. This actually comes from the system design document, and it's what it is. The door is there, as you can see again. That picture at the top is the gate that allows you to go on top of the old system. They've got an air conditioning unit which is leaking rust. That is the entrance, and then as you go down those steps, it is the entrance into the next apartment within the process. So they don't own that door. Their ownership ends at that white. And that is what it looks like from the patio. So those are all the elevations. Next one, please. Right, this is what they were intending to do. They were intending to do nothing at all on the sort of east side, but they were going to put an extension onto the north side, which is that middle one on the top. So they were going to get rid of the old system thing, and they were going to build an extension with a balcony on the top, which I thought was insane, because again it's straight into the wind and the north wind. So even though it is on the west side, I thought that was very, very, very iffy. That's what they got permission for. They have not done it, and it was in 2019, so it's now gone. So what I would like to ask Duncan is, did they do anything about the drainage? Because that was the two parts of that particular, I think it's 2019. I should open up what are my files on this. There are far too many things under planning and licensing. Applications. Anyway, right, we're getting there. Right, the previous one was in 2019, and it was PA 19/01256, and it got permission, and it had two halves. One was the drainage, the foul drainage. One was building the extension. So I don't know whether they've done anything of that and whether they did the new drainage. And it might affect, because they're a bit uninformative in the system design document. They just talk about some internal. Is that the next one? They just talk about some internal changes. So let me get this right. Where's it gone? It's disappeared. All my pictures have disappeared. So right. So on the left is what it looks like now, and on the right is what they're proposing to do. So you come in through the door the same way, and you go straight into the kitchen. Now you go straight into the kitchen, and then to the right of it you had a shower room and a loo. Hence the pipes coming out of that wall. What they're doing now is they have shifted, and the stairs were on the south elevation. What they have done is they've shifted the stairs over to where the shower room was, and this is the new. It's just made it into a sitting room, and there's no water or anything in that. So if we look at, that's the ground floor. There we go to the lower ground floor, which is the next one.
Sorry, you want the next one is the top floor, but you want the lower ground.
Oh, I might as well see those. If that's the order I've done them. On the top floor, what they've done is they've put a socking grate balcony, and what they have done is the balcony was there already, but they have changed what the windows are, and we'll look at that in a minute when we look at the elevations. So instead of having the stairs, and if you notice it says hatch, so it looks like you had to climb to get to the bedroom, which was you had to climb up to a hatch, which is interesting. So they've changed that completely. They put the stairs over and above where they had the stairs down below, and then they put a nice ensuite bathroom against the south wall. And I can't see how they're getting the foul water out of that. I mean, I assume they have got a way of doing it, but they haven't told us. So you've got, quite sensibly, you've got your foul water, your sitting room, and then and the balcony is now open to the north wind, and it's stretching completely round, and it's black metal. And again, I would make a query: are you absolutely sure that this black metal is not going to leak rust? Are you quite sure? Because it's not only going to be in salt air, it's going to be in salt spray, and in a really bad storm, it's going to be underwater. So you need to be absolutely sure that you're using the right material there. Can we go to the next one in that case, which is the basement? Sorry, the lower ground floor. And that's just showing you that they have moved they've moved the kitchen from the north wall, and they have got rid of that dreadful balcony. And I applaud that. So they've got a kitchen, a breakfast room, and they've just completely changed. So the structure of what they have done inside is quite significant. And again, I can't see how they're getting the drainage from the sink. So I think the next one is starting to look at elevations. So this is the most significant change of the elevations. This is the north wall. So they've completely got rid of the dreadful balcony and the ridiculous opening there. They're replacing it with a small window, which I applaud. I am not so certain about they've moved the windows, so I don't know how much of the original stonework they're going to be keeping. But if you look from the sides, you can just about see that those windows on the north wall are inset into the wall, and I'm not sure that's what they're doing here. So again, I would like a comment in considering how open these are to the
particularly the lowest window.
Yeah, the lowest window. Are they inset? Because you've got a really thick wall there. Are you insetting it in the same way as they did in the old one? Because if you put it right against the window, that could be a dire mistake. They're talking about the writing. I can't read it there, Duncan. Is it saying, if you bring it up on the other side, it's sort of saying the black metal. What's it saying to that right-hand side? White something metal.
White anodized powder-coated metal windows.
Yeah, again, same comment. Are you absolutely certain that you can that this is going to stand up? Because it really is exposed to the elements.
Can we go back to the photo and have a look at the old windows to see? The balcony's certainly dribbling rust.
Can you spin left where the photographs are? Right.
Okay. So look, there's no rust dribbling from the current window.
No.
So they've got something right there.
Yeah, well, they actually say we're replacing the UPV windows because they aren't very good. And I'm thinking, what? Because originally it must have been wood. And now they've put in, is it UPV plastic? That's what they've got. Yeah. That's what they want to replace. They want to replace all the UPV windows. Oh my God, you know, I just don't know. I don't know enough, but I think they have to be very, very, very certain.
But the render at the top's in pretty good shape, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. Don't know when it was last painted, but not recently, I don't think. Can we look at the next one, please, Duncan? Right. This is quite a significant change on the window. So on this protected, and you can see that's from the system design document. As soon as you use a metal nail, it leaks rust. It leaks rust. So they're replacing that is a wooden balcony, and they're replacing it with this black metal one, which is going round the outside. They're using the same principle where they've got the two windows, one of which is the one on the right-hand side is a door. They are getting rid of the rather nice, is it Victorian or Edwardian sort of crisscross windows? I would like the heritage. I would actually like the heritage officer to look at this. because it is, I think it is worth the Heritage Officer looking at it. They then below, they have 3 rather nice windows with rather nice stonework above them, and they're totally removing that and replacing it for a window.
Oh yeah, it's just an oblong.
Yeah. So you're losing the sort of the natural feature on the top. They're keeping I forgot what they call it. It's called Pallister or something like that. They're keeping it. For those 3 windows, which are rather attractive, they are replacing it with a modern window and losing those features. And sticking a big window. Down below, the left-hand side window, it's got an arch with rather nice stonework around it. I see no reason why that should change, so I would like that stonework to stay the same. And then they're putting in a very big window, which I think is perfectly, it's fine, no problem, on that wall there. Except the reason there wasn't a window there in the first place is because of the storms. So again, it's, they're using a lot more windows on a building that has deliberately not put them in. So that is the most significant change of the elevations. I'd just like the Heritage Office to have a look at it and maintain as much as the natural of the existing historic stonework as we can. I don't see any problem about putting that extra window in. It's not an exit, and it's actually going to be, I think it's obscure glass, isn't it? What are they saying on it?
No, there's no mention of obscure glass.
No, carry down, what does it say about the bottom window? There's some writing.
White anodised powder-coated metal window. This one here?
Yes, so does that mean the window is clear? Or?
Frame.
Yeah, that's just referring to the construction of the frame.
That's just the frame.
Again, I think that could be subject, that the water could reach that. But we just want some assurance on
But
that.
again, you would want, presumably, if you are going to be a stickler for the heritage, then the new window should be keeping in the same design.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it does more or less.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the shape. I'm talking about the small panes. That you want similar panes in there.
Yeah.
I'm more
Concerned with here, like especially given it's usually only seen from a distance. I'm more concerned with the curve and the balcony than the crisscrossy things, because they're more. Hardly anybody sees the crisscrossy things in a way.
Yeah.
Either way, you're saying just ask the Heritage Officer views it.
Either way, I think.
Yeah, and they're the expert really.
No objection then, Joanna, pending the sorting out.
I haven't finished.
Drainage. Oh, right, it's still going.
Still going. We've got another wall to go yet.
Okay.
That's the north wall, and obviously they've taken away the air conditioning unit, which is good, and we've obviously lost all the plumbing, all the pipes, because they're different, and they've taken away, you no longer see the balcony. You can see the top one, but not very clearly, I thought. So there's nothing wrong with any of that. And one more. This is what they're doing to the front. Interestingly, they are obscuring the left-hand window. Now, actually, if you look at the plans, the loo is absolutely, they must be experienced this, because it looks on the plans as if the loo is right behind where the clear window is. So you're sitting on the throne and you get a good view. But then they have obscured the window, which is where the basin is. Now, no doubt there is a big good reason, but I don't know why. They are also putting in a curved door, which I approve, as opposed to the nasty square one. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, there are no pipes of any description. So it's almost too perfect.
So it's just, checking
Oh,
the drainage,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
Checking the pipe work.
Yeah. So in principle, I've got no objection to this, other than I would like the Heritage Officer to look at it, and I would like an explanation of how the plumbing is going to work. Because it's quite a nice plan, I think. But I do think they need to be very, very careful with those windows. I think they should be inset. The ones on the north and the east should be, because they're small and they're inset for a reason. And I think if they're putting them, if they're making everything metal.
Yeah, Yeah, I think these are perfectly valid questions. I think
Yeah.
we can proceed.
But I wouldn't object to it. I don't think there's anything to object to.
I don't. I'm happy to second that, John.
So that's a no objection.
Yeah.
And we're just, what was it?
Pending the,
Well, we'd like the heritage officer. to
Yes.
do it. We'd like to be we'd like to know how they're doing the plumbing. We want absolute,
suitable materials.
yes,
Yeah.
those materials that actually, can stand up to the environment.
Yeah, no, I think
And also that they might think about insetting the windows in the same way that they've been inset now, and to preserve as much of the heritage as they can.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of it's got to go, but
Yep.
I wouldn't like to live there. Great place for holiday, but I would not like to live
No
there.
objection.
So show of hands for no objection.
Yeah, no.
Right.
So when Duncan's doing that, I've just Googled Earth that, and you can see that actually there's Fistral, obviously.
Yeah.
But look, there's all the sand there. I think the sand's gone. So it is really, really shallow in front of.
It's about a metre
Yeah,
according
it
to
has.
the.
But I think the sand's been eroded away since then. So I mean that is really shallow to be that colour.
I'm
That is
trying to
comparable.
remember when I was about 6, which is a long, long time ago, whether we actually went down to a beach or whether we just went for a paddle.
You see how
So-
shallow it is.
Yeah.
So I think the sand was there, and I think it's
You
been
think,
washed
you think
out.
it's not a
with
phony?
salt.
You think it's
No,
not a
I don't.
phony? You think
No.
it's the real thing? Fair enough. Okay, so that's that one.
Duncan, you're about to utilise your artwork again, aren't you?
I certainly am. Right. Yeah. So this is the change of use of land. This comes back to that busy part of the busy part of the town between the Walkers Estate and Morrison's, and this relates to the care home. So yeah, they're looking at providing an area of land to be a garden space for the proposed care home. So I think the Ramblers have raised no objection. Public Protection are asking for conditions around contaminated land, because this is, I think, has had former industrial uses, and site allocations have said what they usually say.
They've got no idea what's there. That's the problem.
Yeah. This one, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very recent because they've got the building on the other side of the main road, haven't they? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's buildings that have gone up on it, so it's not.
Yeah.
It is fairly recent.
So back in May 2024, this committee resolved to support the most recent care home application, PA 22-07800. I think it was the second time we'd seen that particular application. It had some changes made to it. Amongst other things, you welcome the resiting of the building in relation to the proposed housing development that's taking place nearby. So the site forms part of a wider landholding that's under the control of the applicant. The applicant has submitted full planning permission for the construction of a 66-bed care home. An agreement is in place for Sanctuary Care to take ownership of the care home following construction. Sanctuary would then operate and manage the care home thereafter. The care home application hasn't been determined yet. Okay, so as I say, the applicant has control over the whole site. The blue line site is obviously the site of the care home application. The garden site there, that's the application site that we're looking at today. We've got an indicative plan from one of the earlier incarnations of this, and you'll see that originally that land was actually given over to flats and parking for said flats.
Would we have planning permission for that, or is that just a master plan?
I looked and looked and looked, and I couldn't find anything, and my memory didn't didn't kind of come up with anything. I've racked my brains to think, did we look at something?
There's no outline.
I don't think that there is. I think the only time that we've seen it is on this indicative plan, and of course on oops, and of course on this beautiful, very professionally put together piece of work, which showed the care home and the flats down here. And again, we've just referred to this a couple of times just to remind ourselves there is quite a lot going on in this little part of the town. The covering go back to that. The covering letter says, or the covering letter accompanying the application finishes by saying the proposed gardens will provide a larger garden space for future residents of the adjacent proposed care home. This will provide an enhanced level of accommodation compared to the care home scheme in isolation, and additional leisure and recreational opportunities for the care home's residents. They will positively contribute to the creation of new habitats. And I think we've got, there's one of these two drawings that had a little bit of detail. Yeah, we have to zoom right in.
I'm just surprised they needed planning permission for
You
this.
don't normally for a garden. It's just what they're going to be doing with the border.
Maybe the contamination is a problem.
So it refers to a 1500 millimetre, so 1.5 metre bow top fencing that I think follows that line. There, and then they've got shrubbery around the outside of that. So it's going to be quite well contained by fencing and shrubbery beyond.
Should
Explain what a bow top fence.
folding over like that?
Up and
Yeah,
then
because
that way.
I think the police wanted security for the care home, didn't they? From public.
I'd be concerned about the noise as well for the residents, but that makes sense that it would help reduce some of the noise and make it actually a usable garden, or otherwise it's sort of a waste. Yes, yeah. Oh, there we go, bow top fencing. Oh no, okay, not what I thought.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Looks
Sorry.
like it's just
It's a style.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
There you go. That's quite a
Okay,
good
the
image of
roundy
it.
That's a
things.
good example.
Yeah.
yeah.
So there you go.
No, not as sophisticated as I thought.
So quite
Yeah,
pleasant.
Thank
Yeah.
It
you.
could be a solid fence, though.
Well, yeah, that's referring to bow top fence panels.
The one below that is a bow top fence panel.
Yeah.
So it could be railing.
Fencing, and I think that those are the ones you probably wouldn't call that fencing, you call that railings. So I think they're looking at a wooden panel.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a garden fence with a
So
bow
it's
top.
not.
Garden, wonderful. Excellent. We like to see gardens in the UK. Greenery.
See clarification on the bow top design.
No, it's
Please would be good.
Is,
Yeah,
is,
that's an
is the
NMP.
fence going to obstruct wildlife access?
Yeah, the
that's a
NMP
good
does
point.
refer to hedgehog access. Yeah, thank you.
Well,
hadn't come up with this to start. I don't know. We don't know the background. We don't know if Cornwall Council have said the care home stands a much better chance if you added an outdoor green space. No idea.
So, what else have we got? Terms of reference, we're not changing that, I take it.
No.
Reports and association recommended, there aren't any, but we will be reporting back, well, not at the next one, but the one afterwards from the Newquay Neighbourhood Plan. Nothing's come up on parking. I noticed you distributed the parking figures.
Sorry.
Didn't get any figures. If you get any time to have a play with it, the results are quite interesting. Have we spent any money?
No purchases made,
Right.
no payments for flowers.
Do we have any other correspondence?
No other correspondence.
Do we have any items for information and discussion only?
Just a couple. There was the land to the rear of Harriet House. That was refused. That was the construction of that strange. Yeah. I know Councillor Fitton will be very pleased about that because he'd been dealing with the residents who lived there because it was part of the parking for the original site that had somehow been sold to somebody else who I think lived in Wales and wanted to put a boat in it.
Because we didn't know that because we did it on Outlook, didn't we? And on shading.
Yeah.
Because of the height of it, which you wasn't clear about, and it was really close to their back door.
That's right.
But I didn't realise it was actually a different owner. That wasn't made clear to the house.
We did. I think that we did ask that question, but it wasn't made desperately clear. Anyway, that was refused. I know Councillor Fitter, and I think many of the residents around Harriet House who would have been impacted are quite pleased about that. The other thing was that I thought I'd point out, Newquay Town Council has received a few inquiries about the timeline for the Narrowcliff development. I don't know if anybody else has sort of picked up social media and people kind of sort of various things being said about it. So the timeline and the construction of the new surgeries as well, people have been talking about.
Isn't it?
It is, because it's all tied in together. As you can imagine, the online rumour mill is working overtime. Some people have even stated that the whole project has been called off. I've made inquiries with the planning authority. I think Gavin Smith, I'm hoping, is going to get back to me. I will let you know if we get any update on this, because people are
Emailing that, please, Duncan, to the committee.
Because
I'm
I'll
just
bring it to the meeting.
Depending on what the answer is, it might be something for us to bring up at full council for a letter in one direction or the other, but just totally depends on what the answer is, what you find out. Thank you.
I'll let you know what happens, and we can decide in this meeting if there is anything more to be done. Yeah, but it's just...
Yeah, no, well, what I'd heard was that the surgeries were being built on a slope and it was too expensive. So the Duchy is trying to find a way, because they're very keen that they build surgeries. They have now offered them land, which is right in the centre of their development, and it's flat. And they're saying, this was a couple of months back when we went to talk to the Duchy, and they're saying they've offered this land to them, and that will be a lot cheaper. But it's all down to it's the ICB, isn't it? Whether they're prepared to sponsor because effectively, if they don't do it, then the second block and I think the retirement home cannot be built. They can build the front block, but I think the retirement home, which is the affordable housing element, is dependent upon these surgeries.
And it's all a bit mixed up right now with the total restructuring of financing of GP surgeries discussed nationally anyway. I mean, that's definitely going to play in a way anyway, so...
There's also the thing as well that the Duchy have applied for SIL funding to do the granite facing on the bridge. And it's a lot. It's over 200,000 they've applied for.
On...
You know, the new bridge over the railway, which they hadn't consulted on, and the National Railway said no to put a crossing on it, and they've put the bridge there, and it's going to be granite, faced, and it's coming in much more expensive than they thought, and they've applied for SIL funding for it.
The Duchy can apply for SIL funding.
The SIL isn't, the Dutch isn't providing the bridge, is it? I thought that was Cornwall Council.
They've applied for SIL funding.
Well, anyway, well, if I hear anything back from Gavin Smith or somebody in planning, I'll obviously report that back to you.
There is
I was searching for that. I note down on here the 2 applications for a Trail Zoo farm at Watergate. Did they come here to us? I don't remember those coming to us. I don't remember Events Field at Trail Zoo, and it's been withdrawn. Do you remember those coming to us?
They are ages and ages and ages old. They're like 2019 applications, and they are those are to do with it was to do with discharging conditions. I think
Because
those applications were.
They've got PA24 codes on them.
Yeah, but that's the application to discharge conditions on an application from some time back.
Okay.
I'm presuming that the boardmaster's planning permission has kind of superseded whatever they were planning to do at the time. I really can't remember what it was, to be honest.
Right.
It was the way
Okay.
I think but those applications, they've got 24s on them because it was the discharge of conditions applications, the actual whatever they got permission for. Was some time ago. I can't even. That might even have been. I'll tell you what that was. That is the last time they did a temporary extension of boardmasters on that site because I think that it was time limited.
Right.
okay.
They don't need to discharge those conditions anymore because they've got permanent and bigger permission.
For that, so
Yeah, I've got it. I've obviously got it, and
yeah.
So I'll have a look and see if I can
Yeah,
find
if you
it.
can share it with me, I'll share
Yeah,
it. I'll share it with everybody.
It came through. Jake, you sent it round, didn't you? Okay. Oh,
I
he
did.
knows what I'm talking about. It was last week, was it? Yeah, so nobody reads their mail.
Well, we do. It's just really good.
ask, sorry, the NPPF, what does demanding universal local plan coverage from all local planning authorities mean? Does anybody
What are you
know?
looking at? What are you looking at?
It's on
You're
page,
looking at the paper they put out.
yes. Does anyone know what universal local plan coverage is?
What page are you looking at?
It doesn't have a number.
That's exactly it. They're totally changing the NPPF. They're changing the local plan.
Oh, I see. Sorry. They want I got you. Yes.
And the idea is that if they
Understand.
decide to make a new plan,
Everybody should have a local plan. Right.
and if they don't have a local plan, they're going to be imposed.
Got it.
They're going to have to be like ours.
Nope, that makes sense. Thank you.